Good day to you, my fellow endoskeletons. I'm Kenetor and welcome back for another Starbase progress report. We're on week 37 of 2021, and if you're new here, I bring you the latest news and updates of every Starbase every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out. Now let's get to it. A big welcome to my recent subscribers, my returning ones, and the many thousands of you that just watched the videos. Sorry this week's video was delayed, the update came late yesterday and was huge too, so I needed just a bit more time for the video. A nice big patch graced the live server at the tail end of last week, bringing a rather large list of fixes over from the PTU and into the live game. Also, more research was added and many new modules have been made available for crafting. The ship shops also saw another big wave of updates with 23 new ships, 11 updated ships and 6 removed. Also of note was the paint tool is now usable on player stations, bringing a nice little addition of customization. Diving into our Lowry quotes of the week, and today we're starting with Lowry answering if there will be long before the planetary mining is finished. And he says there are 2 remaining items that are the ore servers and logic and the surface deform server. Currently the PTU has digging holes without saving them or ore discovery. Larry also gives us a mini update on the status of moons this week too, starting off with repeating that many of the further moons are not yet done, or to be more exact, none of the moons are completed as of yet. He says they will push the final versions out before the moons get their ores and mining is enabled. And there will also be a new terrain system coming which will allow for a lot of diversity within one moon. And if you're wondering the limitation of how much resources are on the moon, they don't set a certain amount. Larry says they are seeded, not individually hosted. So we can make some estimates, but trillions and trillions is a conservative estimate. Larry continues these moons are not likely to come at the same time. Also, others than the first moon will most likely come around when capital ships come, and many of the ores on the moons have their use in making capital ships. And sadly that's all we have for the quotes this week, as Larry has been a bit absent from the Discord. However, this week's progress report is massive, and of course once again a new layout. I'll be posting a poll on my channel which I will link in the description. I want to hear your feedback on what style of these reports from Frozen Byte you prefer. Maybe together we can help them get a final style they can stick with for everyone's benefit. But before we dive into the report, it's time for the gallery, and this too is pretty short this week with just the one image, but it does give us some pretty key information about the navigation data logger, in how long it takes to save a jump position, as well as how much power it takes to run the device. Assuming the power draw is constant, this would work out to be about 6,000 energy per second, so the same as a mining laser, but running constantly for 40 minutes. This week we have a general overview of the game's features across the board, and we're kicking off with the new features. Renaming of spaceships is first up, and will do exactly what it says in the name. And this also ties into company permissions for company ships too. This is in programming and 3 weeks in so far. Renaming stations, the same thing but for stations. And so much needed once you start getting multiple stations. It's only 1 week in though, and only in the design phase. Hopefully this will turn around pretty quickly. Improved station building HUD. We saw some of this in last week's video, giving you not only more info on your permissions, but expanding your station too. It's still in design with 3 weeks down so far. Hangar halls, only 3 weeks in and still in design. These halls will be placeable on capital ships and stations, and will be where you hold your ships physically. The game is moving more towards a physical storage route, so the number of ships you can dock at a station will depend on how many halls and the size of the halls you build on your station. Safe zone visualization VFX. This one is a bit of a mystery on how they will do this. It may only be for stations you have access rights to, otherwise it could give away the position of some stations. Say you hide your station in a belt cloud, if the safe zone sticks out the other side, your station will no longer be hidden. But this is only in the art stage and 2 weeks in so far. Ball turret. Another thing we saw in last week's update, these new turrets are not as clunky and ugly as the original turrets, as well as protecting their user by default. If they solve the other problems the old turrets have, this will be very successful, and this is 2 weeks in and working on art assets at the moment. Reconstruction machine VFX. We have some cool new effects for this when it's in use, already in art design for 1 week. Improved inventory and crafting icons. Already 2 weeks in, the devs are looking to bring improvements to let us see how much container items have left in them, be it a propellant tank or a fuel rod. There will also be icons to better identify modules too, which will be pretty handy. Moving on to moons and moon mining now. And moon mining gameplay has been under work for 12 weeks, and is in final programming and QA. This is mostly working over on the PTU, but as we went over in the Lowry quotes, there is still some stuff to finish. Moon surface deform. This too is nearly done with now 63 weeks of work done so far. far, and is still in programming, but it's not just the game tech but the servers to support it too. Moon mining technology. This is pretty similar to the last one, but just the effects part of the surface deformation. This too is in programming and has had 12 weeks of work so far. Ore in moons. The entire point of mining will be to get the ore, obviously. This has been in work for 5 weeks and is still under programming. Moon mining techniques and tools. Just in configuration now with 9 weeks done so far. This is almost ready with having everything that should affect the moon's surface do so correctly. New moon belts and moon mining materials. 22 weeks in and under configuration and design still. This will be the basis of what you find and how much you find of the various new and existing ores in different moons, with some ores being unique to maybe one or a few of the moons. Moon City apartment rental. This little feature will see you renting an apartment in one of the towers, which will be the entire floor of a tower. We're still light on details as to why and what you will do with this, but at 13 weeks dev time so far, it's been in the works for some time, so it's gotta be good, and this is in the design and art phases so far. New moon terrain and geometry. 5 weeks in and working on art, this will bring us lots of new art assets, so we are not seeing the same old rocks everywhere. Variety is the spice of endo life, you know. Moon terrain generation and optimization. 10 weeks in and in programming, the devs are trying to find new ways to generate the moon's surface, to provide more distinct styles and looks for every moon. Moon bases is up next, and the moon base foundation is first. Just like the space station foundations, this is what starts your moon surface station. This is still in programming and QA despite seemingly working perfectly on the PTU. Perhaps there is still more to do with other things linked to it, like its position and cost in the research tree, for example. Moon base building in easy build mode. This one may confuse some people, but building moon bases has a slightly different rule set for building stations in space. One example is the height limit of moon stations, and this too is in final programming and QA. Moonbase support plinths. This is part of those different rules I just mentioned. These supports need to be sitting under your station building and support up to 4 blocks away horizontally from the support itself. 8 weeks in and also in final programming and QA. Base building HUD. Just like the normal space stations, the moon stations will also be getting the same HUD upgrade. This is 1 week and under design right now. Our biggest section this week is capital ships. Capital ship docks. Just like the factory areas, these will be where you build your capital ship in. These will be very large areas and will need to be bigger than the ship you plan to build. 10 weeks in and in programming and QA right now. Easy build mode. Love it or hate it, easy build mode will be used to construct the capital ships within the dock itself, and for something so large it kind of makes sense, but only if it comes with a free cam to do so. Otherwise making a several kilometer ship in first person will be hell, and will be beyond challenging or fun in my opinion. Capital ship modules. In design and art phase for the last 6 weeks, it looks just like the normal ships. We will get some pre-built modules to speed up the creation of these mighty capital ships. Integrity check. Unlike stations, capital ships will also have integrity to make sure it holds together through the forces of fast travel. This is still under design and programming, but will most likely function similar to how it does on normal ships. But this is yet to be demonstrated. Autonomous devices. This is under QA, so it must be nearly done, but we have no examples of what these things will even be. Will this be manufacturing? Will it be player-made contraptions? I'm hoping we get some clarification on this soon. Supply conduit and nexuses. Just like pipes, cables and ducts we have on smaller ships, capital ships will have their own resource network called supply conduits. These will move resources like propellant around the ship as well as parts and ore to their containers and other devices. This is under QA with 7 weeks spent so far, and it's also worth noting here that these will also be coming to stations. Devices and resource screens. There will be a few new screens added for cap ships that will let us both control and check on the various resources around the ship. This is under art creation and 7 weeks in. Capital ship generators. These much larger power generators recently came in a PTU build, but currently can't be used. They will have a similar setup and use to their smaller counterparts, but it's unknown yet how much power they will produce or how long its fuel will last. But it's in QA after 10 weeks of work, so it won't be long now before these are operational. Capital ship thrusters. Another confusing one since these ships technically won't fly. These thrusters are part of the fast travel system only, and having more of them will make the fast travel itself go faster. And without enough of them, fast travel will not engage. This is in programming for only 3 weeks so far. This is very telling on how fast and loose Starbase is being developed, as this would have been started at or just before the delay announcement for capital ships, which means the devs knew long before the announcement that they would be delayed. Capital ship propellant tank. Of course, having thrusters means they will need propellant to work, so this one is pretty easy to understand. These will also be massive just like the new generators too. also 3 weeks in and under programming. Fast travel core. Just like how smaller ships have a gate core for using the gates, the capital ships will have a bigger version to bring their own fast travel online. This will no doubt be a large device and is in QA now after 12 weeks, so it looks like this is pretty close to being done. Shield generator, another component in fast travel. This will protect the ship during the fast travel and will most likely be what gives it a safe zone as well. This is 8 weeks in and also in QA. Navigational data logger. This is technically not a capital ship component, but one for normal ships. However, this is vital for locking a position to jump to with the capital ship and needs to be used ahead of time. We've seen this device in recent weeks as well as in the gallery this week. Station siege. This huge feature is 47 weeks under work and still in programming, but will allow a military capital ship or ships to attack a station outside the starter safe zone. It will drop its own safe zone as well as that of the attack station to allow full damage to both sides, and the possibility of capturing or fully destroying the station. Spaceships get some update love this week too, with Spaceship Registration Deed in final programming and QA after 7 weeks. This will let you take ownership of an abandoned or unowned spaceship. Company ships. This will let us give ships to the company and then operation managed by ranks. This is a really needed feature for companies, but has been stuck in programming for some time now, with 22 weeks work done on this feature so far. Blueprint ships. This will be a new, official and easy method for trading and transferring blueprints, as well as being used in a manufacture process as well. They will come in secure and unsecure form. Secure means the blueprint can only be used but not extracted, and unsecure is free to use everywhere, including copying it into the ship designer for editing and resaving. 5 weeks in and under programming, many people are looking forward to this feature. Repair shop. This is another hugely requested and needed feature for the game. This will let you drive your ship in and reset it back to its pristine condition or a previously saved edit of the ship for just the difference in ore and some added cost. However, it's in programming and only 5 weeks in, so this feature will still be some ways out to completion. Drive-in designer. This feature was promised from the very start, way before closed alpha, but has been reliant on changes needed to secure ships with copy protection. With the correct ownership of the blueprint or an unsecured blueprint ship, you'll be able to drive this back into the ship design workshop for refits, changes, and just like the repair shop, pay for just the difference. This is also 5 weeks in and under programming. New binds menu for ship quick binds. This will be a complete replacement for the ship binds via the V button while sitting in a pilot seat. I'm hoping this also helps lay the groundwork for new devices such as joysticks and gamepads too. This is still under design for 13 weeks, so this too will be some time before we see it in action. Stations and easy build haul is our next section. Stations. While we currently have stations, these are just the first iteration since completely switching to the new easy build mode system. Right now stations can't be expanded and serve as nothing more as a storage depot for ore. Station build area expansion. This missing feature will finally enable the expansion of stations to be greater than the 100-meter cube that we have currently, and will be needed before we can make larger capital ships as well. This is 5 weeks in and under programming, but is nearly working, with Lowry claiming he has a station with 2 zones active on the dev build. Painting stations. This was enabled via the most recent live patch as I mentioned earlier. However, more updates to this seem to be in the works. Easy build HUD. Improvements to the HUD are under design for 3 weeks now, and will give players a better understanding on how to control the different aspects of easy build mode as well as other relevant information. Freeform welding for easy build haul. This one is a little confusing as welding is only available to beams and modules. So will this mean that it will just auto bolt bits in place, or will this welding be expanded to everything? Either way, 8 weeks have been spent on this and is in the programming phase. Easy build haul redesign. The easy build haul will be changed from a repurposed copy of the ship design workshop building to its own unique look. However, I find it a little bit hard to believe that 4 weeks have already been spent on this so far for such a simple art asset, unless they are making it a much more complicated shape than existing buildings. New modules for stations, moon bases and capital ship building. This will bring us even more blocks and modules to use with easy build mode, and thus making more options for unique creations. I can't wait to see what there's been come up with so far, and this is under final programming and configuration after 11 weeks work so far. Factory halls, 22 weeks in and under programming. This feature still gives the devs a hard time with it still deleting objects inside the halls. Eventually, however, this will be where we build all of our factory devices together to create components and ships at our stations. Cargo halls. This new hall will be where we build up our physical storage for our stations, be it items or ships, only 3 weeks in and under programming so far. Holograms for insurance terminals. This upgrade for insurance terminals at Origin and other dev stations will make them a bit more obvious and easier to find for players. 4 weeks in and still in our asset design. Devices and machines. These devices probably could have come under other sections, but we will start here with the furnaces to create alloys. As we know, the new capital ships will use alloys, as well as alloys providing new armor types for ships eventually as well. But to make them, we are going to require a furnace to merge and refine the raw ore together. These furnaces will also condense gas from resource clouds when they are added to the game. This is 5 weeks in and still both in design and programming. Secondly, we have the blueprint projector. This can be used to artistically project a design for fun, but its primary use will be in the construction of the blueprint you are projecting, when used in combination with other factory devices. Still with me? Thanks for sticking around. We have reached the final section of other changes and we'll be kicking off with combat balance. Combat balance is being looked at across the board for both weapons and the armor we have now to what we will eventually have available as well. And this will pretty much be ongoing for some time as new things are added. Armor balance. This is pretty much one and the same with combat balance. Cosmetics. These are right at the end of the roadmap for this year, but once done, not only will we be able to customize our endo armor and weapon looks, but they will also have premium cosmetics available as per their plan to support long-term development of the game via this method. New tutorials. While the current tutorials barely get you going, there is still much more players need to learn, and the devs are working to close that knowledge gap with more tutorials. Auction house shopping list. This will be a very useful addition when trying to get what you need for a ship, and if you want to see this in action, stick around for the featured video in just a moment. Inventory 2.0 under work for 44 weeks now. This single feature is holding a lot of upgrades and fixes for not only the inventory, but other items that rely on it too. Item crates. This is a new type of crate for storing items instead of ore. However, it's not the only new crate type, and this is just one of the examples of something that can't come until the new inventory system does. Company and personal storage access. Still under design and only 2 weeks in, this should have definitely been started back in the closed alpha days. Company storage will greatly help the collaborative playstyle of all companies, and can't come soon enough. Hopefully it will work just like the company bank and have free deposit but limited and logged withdrawals. And our final update this week is the new fast travel VFX. With the new cap ships having fast travel, the devs are taking the opportunity to make it look even cooler, and then bringing it to the new fast travel gates too. Only 2 weeks in and working on the art right now. I must say this style of progress notes doesn't actually highlight or show any specific progress made, or has been worked on recently. I don't know about you, but I much prefer either a specific feature deep dive or the old progress notes from closed alpha. But again, let me know in the poll linked in the description. But we're not done yet, as Frozen By also added the video showing off the new shopping list feature in action. This can give us a full list of parts in the ship shop panels, showing items that you don't even have in your inventory, and is also shown working in the editor as well. But its best use will be via the auction house, where you can load a blueprint and get its part list, and then clicking any specific part will bring up its auction house listing directly, allowing you to purchase these parts. Still no buy all button however, but this will still be a huge upgrade without it. As always, please smash that like button, share this video with your friends and faction, leave a comment with any questions you want answers to, and I'll see you in the next one. Kenetor, out.